We've used PowerPoint now to sketch user experiences, that is, people interacting with our devices and how the actual user, how that experience works in their lives. What we want to do now is we want to focus on PowerPoint as a tool for designing the actual user interface itself. And since we're very much into visual user interfaces, we want to talk about how to actually lay out. PowerPoint is an excellent tool for this. It's relatively inexpensive and it gets you very quickly what you want to do. Now what we want to talk about is this notion of a wireframe. What the notion of a wireframe is a wireframe is a sketch. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get the basic idea of how is this user interface going to work. On purpose, what we're going to do is we want to look at the structure, we want to look at the content, we want to look at the spatial layout. So we're going to intentionally use just black and white, rectangle lines. We're going to avoid color because we don't want people discussing color at this point. We're going to avoid any shading or touching or anything like that. We're not trying to craft the look. We're trying to craft how this thing is going to go together. The reason it's so important is because we can go craft a look later. What we want is to understand the structure of what we're trying to build. So let's take some examples. Let's make a new slide here. And I don't want that layout. So I'll change the layout to, come on, change the layout to a blank slide. There we go. That's what I wanted. So let's design a little mail program. Okay. And it's going to be a rectangle, and I'm going to have 3 areas. So what I've decided is that up here goes menus and control. And then right down here, this is where all the mail messages go in our mail reader that we're designing. And over here I want a space for folders. Okay, one of the things you noticed here that makes this so nice is that PowerPoint did 2 things for us. Number 1, it's really easy to throw together rectangles. And number 2, you just start typing in the middle of the rectangle and good things happen. So you're spending very little time making this work. The other thing, if you'll notice, is when I put these things next to each other, they lined up, they snap to each other very nicely. So I'm not fussing with, works as a really good tool in that regard. Now, we said we weren't going to do color, and I don't want to do color. So I'm going to go shape outlines black, shape fill is white, and colors are black. I forgot to select everything. So outline is black, fill is white, letters are black. Okay, that gets me the simple wireframe I want. It's got nothing more than the stuff I need to illustrate what I'm accomplishing. Okay, now the other thing is obviously this design leaves out a bunch of things. But again, it's a sketch. Get at the essentials. Just do those quickly and don't leave a lot of, we don't want to have a lot of foo-for-ah to mess around with. Alright, now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to do the design on my menus and controls. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of that piece of text because I now want to put something in here. So the text is gone. And let's see, so I'll grab myself a rectangle and I'll put a logo. I want that to be the logo. And grab another rectangle. And I want to be able to search my messages, so let's call this search keywords. That's where I'm going to type in my search. And then I want to put a button over here that actually does the search. And let's add some more buttons. Let's add one right here that will do a return to whatever state I was in previously. Now here's a bunch of buttons I want to all be the same, so I'm just going to copy. Let's say make 3 more of them. See how it lined up for me over there? Very nice. So what this over here will be is delete for deleting messages. Let's take this one over here and make it reporting spam. And this one right here is going to be archive this message. And these buttons are too big to fit in my layout here, so let's do that. That's actually going to look better anyway. Okay, there's my buttons. Went together very quickly. Let's select all of that and give it, come back home again. Black outline, black white fill, black text. All right, very quickly. That's how I want this thing to lay out. I'm going to have some buttons. I'm going to have a logo. Now at this point I probably want to work out some design stuff here. Maybe I got too much, but maybe I don't want to do that right now because I'm just after the structure. So let's see. What's the next thing I want to do? Well, let's work at how the mail message is going to work. All right. Mail message. And there's going to be a bunch of them. Okay. So since there's going to be a bunch of them, I'll go copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now I sort of slaughtered the alignment pretty badly there. So I'm just going to select those things. I'm going to go up here to Arrange, Align, Align Left, and boom, they're all good. Except they seem to be distributed in a weird way. So I'll go Arrange, Align, Distribute Vertically. Look at that. And then I'll select them all and make them black, white with black text. Okay, so very rapidly I've got a design. I've still got to work out how my folders are going to work out here on the left, but I've got a design that went together in a hurry. Now I need a scroll bar, and for that I'm going to use a cast just like before. I pre-built myself a scroll bar, so I just grab that and copy it. Go back up to where I was working, and I'll paste it. Of course, it's in the wrong place. So the first thing I do is rotate it to go vertical, and then I'll put it right there and shrink it down so it fits. Got a scroll bar. Okay, scroll bar was a little more complicated because it's got this thing here and it's got the arrows on the end of it. So what I did is I just pre-built one. I've just got it sitting down there on the slide that I can go grab and do whenever I want to. So I can then further do this. I can break this down again, and I can say, well, let's talk about what really goes in an email message. All right, well, what goes in an email message? It's got who it's from. It's got subject, and it's got the time that it arrived. All right. Now that looks good. So what I'll do is I'm going to select just that, and I'm going to make a group out of it. Once I made a group out of it, I'm going to take all these other messages down here. I'm holding down the Shift key, so I'm multi-selecting them, and I'm going to delete them, because now I'm going to take this group and I'm going to copy it. Okay, so now I can go lay these out. And let's fix up the alignment again. Align left. There we go, and let's take that scroll bar, bring it to the front. Alright, take all these guys, because I'm making a wireframe, black outline. It's really annoying in PowerPoint that I can't just set new default colors, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Alright, there we go. Again, one of the things I've got is I've got a very rapid sketch. I've got things I want to do as quickly as I need to do them. Okay, let's go over here on the left and let's make some folders. Inbox. Clean up the alignment, clean up the color. Now, of course, I don't want all these to be inbox, so I'll do something like this. I'll say, let's make a folder for important. Let's make a folder for work. Let's make a folder for fun. And then I'm going to go up here and grab a little arrow, a little triangle. Do a little zoom in. There we go. Because I want work to be actually lots of different kinds of work. So I've got that little arrow that I'm going to be able to click on. Zoom out. Alright, I got a quick wireframe. Little conventions like buttons are rounded rectangles, type-ins are or labels are things like this. Those conventions are really easy to throw together. Notice we've done a layout. We now have enough information to take this and show it to a client or show it to the rest of our group and say, here is the design that we're going to go with. Okay, so that was very easy to put together. Now, one of the things we want to do once we've got this wireframe built is we want to talk about the kinds of things that we'll be doing. What's the interactivity? So this gave us an opportunity to throw together a spatial layout. Let's put the interactivity in place. So for doing our interactivity, we're going to go down here to my cast of pre-built things again. So we'll go down here. And what I've got here is I've got several interactive symbols. So this one right here, this one is my click symbol. Okay, it says click here. This one is my double click symbol. Double click here. So what I can do is I can just grab these. They're groups. I can just grab them. I can drop them. Particularly when I'm going back here, I might want to tell a story in slide which says, I click here, next slide, and then I do something here, next slide, and then I do something here, next slide. So I'm going to tell the story of how this thing gets used as a sequence. Okay. The other thing I want to capture for you here is the notion of drag and drop. For that, I use a symbol that looks like this. So I use that click, except I filled it in. It's actually transparent. If you take it, notice it's transparent. So I can say, let's suppose I want to grab the scroll bar and drag it down there. Okay? So I use this mouse down sort of thing symbol, and I'm use this dragging arrow. These are not particularly special symbols. You can pick your own. I just recommend that your group come up with a standard as to what they're going to use, so that when everybody sees the diagrams, they know this what it means. It turns out that if you're dealing with desktop interfaces, click, double click, and drag gets you 90% of the way there. So you can actually take a diagram and represent some kind of interactive behavior on the top of it. Very fast, very quickly, it communicates well. Okay, there's another thing we can do. So let's go back to this slide here. And that is, I want to show you what this is going to look like when I click on work. So first thing I'm going to do is duplicate this slide. Alright. And then I'm going to drag fun down here. And I'm going to copy fun and do a paste with it. Also, if you notice while you were away, I left aligned these and moved this over there. I just thought it made a better design. So I'll take this right here and I'll just go plan. I'll make 2 more of these. I'll call this one build. I'll call this one test. Alright. And then I'll take this little thing here. I need to zoom in to get a hold of it. There we go. And turn it upside down like that. Alright, so this is what it's supposed to look like after I've opened that work folder. So let's go back here, and this is a nice thing we can do in PowerPoint. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go right click on this button and I'm going to say Hyperlink. Okay, and that new slide that I created is right here. It's slide number 3. So I'm going to say on this hyperlink I want to go, so place in this document, not to a file or a web page, not to a new document, place in this document, slide number 3. Okay. Then I'm going to do this one, and I'm going to right click and say make a hyperlink. This says go back to slide number 2. Okay. Alright, so let's go back up here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put us into slideshow mode because that's where these things work well. And it's going to be a little big for our video. Notice everything got big. But now what I can do is I can click on this and it goes to slide 3 and shows me that it's opened up. And I click on it again, it goes back to slide 2. Okay, that simple hyperlink feature, allows you to create something that's a little bit interactive. So basically what you do is you would go to each of these buttons here and you would create a slide. What's it going to look like after I click that button? Okay, now one of the things, and then what happens is you can click it and away it goes. Now one of the problems we've got is we're not sure what's clickable because I didn't put a link here and didn't put a link here. So what I might want to do is I might want to go here and say shape fill. I'm just going to give it just the slightest tinge of gray. Maybe a little more gray. Okay. The only reason I do that is not because I want to indicate that, but I just want to tell myself while I'm doing the demo that I just built that says, if I go here and say open hyperlink, it's going to go somewhere. Because one of the things you don't have is you don't have anything that indicates that you're active. There's not really a user interface here. Okay, if you think about this ability to hyperlink among slides, what that allows you to do is take your spatial layout and then build an interactive structure. Where do I go on particular menu items? Where do I go on particular buttons? How many times do I have to click to get from here to where I want to be? You can work all those questions out very quickly with this wireframe design, which is black and white, no styling, just words. On most applications, for example, these here will be icons. We're not going to do icons. The reason we're not, this might be a magnifying glass. It's the classic search icon. We're not going to do icons right now. The reasons we're not going to do icons is because we're trying to get at the structure. We're trying to get at the layout. We're trying to think through, does this actually solve our user's problem? We can make pretty icons and nice shadings and all that stuff later. All that stuff will be fine once we know what we're actually going to build and how we're going to build it. So there you go. Wireframing in PowerPoint, quick to throw together. Use an alphabet of symbols for your various kinds of interactive behaviors. And of course, if you can build something out of a linked structure, use the hyperlinks mechanism that's built into PowerPoint. That'll allow you to jump from slide to slide to slide. Gives you a start, the feel of a demo. Good luck.